It's funny how some things just seem to align perfectly sometimes. Whether it's meeting the same person on multiple occasions throughout your day, or walking into a parking lot filled with cars of the same color. It's simply just a coincidence, you may think. However, I don't think you'll be so eager to jump to that conclusion with these stories. Looking left and right before crossing an intersection is a lesson you should have learned fairly early in your life. However, it seems to be easily forgotten, such as the case of the Edmund Brothers in Bermuda. In July of 1975, 17-year-old Erskine Lawrence Eben was riding his moped through downtown Hamilton until he was hit by an oncoming taxi passing through the intersection he was crossing, and was pronounced dead before proper authorities reached the scene. This, of course, was traumatizing for the Eben family. But it did not deter Erskine's younger 16-year-old brother, Neville, from enjoying a good ride around the city. Exactly 1 year later, Neville was riding the same moped that Erskine was killed on, and by what seems to be a total coincidence, Neville was hit by an oncoming taxi and died before anyone could help. He too was only 17 years of age. It was later revealed that Neville was killed on the same road that Erskine was, hit by the same taxi, driven by the same driver. Rumors even go as far to say that the driver was carrying the same passenger that was present for the death of Erskine. There are many factors that contributed to the outbreak of World War I. However, it is widely agreed upon that it was the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, Archduke and heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire's throne, was a spark that ignited the fire that would become the Great War. June 28, 1914, Sarajevo. Franz and his wife Sophie were touring the city in their car after an inspection of the Bosnian military. With a lower amount of security, Bosnian and Serbian nationalists decided to take advantage of the unguarded tour and take a chance on Franz's life. After one failed assassination attempt, Franz's vehicle took a wrong turn and passed by Gavrilo Princip, who was a member of the Nationalists of Bosnia. He took the opportunity and rushed the vehicle with a gun withdrawn, and shot Franz and Sophie, killing them. Princip was subdued by onlookers before he could attempt to commit suicide and was hauled to prison immediately. But the damage was already done. In a few short weeks, the Central Powers were armed and marching to the battlefield. Little did they know, their fate already seemed to be set in place. Looking at the license plate of the vehicle that Ferdinand was killed in, it appears to be a jumble of numbers reading A111118. However, if we look at the numbers like a date and take note of the century the vehicle was made, we get 11/11/1918, or November 11th, 1918. An armistice was put upon Germany, who was the spearhead of the Central Powers military on this date, signifying the end of the war and the beginning of the breakdown of all the Central Powers empires. Looking at the license plate again, we finally get Armistice, November 11th, 1918. From this standpoint, it appears the end of the war was set before it even began. Abraham Lincoln and John Fitzgerald Kennedy, two of the most influential and world-renowned American presidents the world has ever seen. However, these two individuals had a little bit more in common than just the same job. Lincoln was elected into Congress in 1846 and was eventually voted as president in 1860. Kennedy was elected into Congress in 1946 and became president in 1960. Both of them had the same concerns in the subject of civil rights and went through their wives losing a child in the White House. Both were assassinated on a Friday by a person from the southern United States by being shot in the back of the head while beside their wives. No, don't leave yet. I'm just getting started. Both were succeeded by a southern citizen named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808, and Lyndon Johnson, who replaced Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth was the man responsible for Lincoln's death, and he was born in 1839, while Lee Harvey Oswald, the man who shot Kennedy, was born, and you guessed it, 1939. Not to mention the fact that they are both known by 3 names that add up to a total of 15 letters. Both Booth and Oswald were murdered before their trial. Hey, pick up your jaw off the floor. I'm almost done here. Lincoln was shot in a theater called Ford, and Kennedy was shot in a car called a Lincoln, which is manufactured by Ford. And finally, Booth killed Lincoln in a theater and then hid in a warehouse, while Oswald killed Kennedy from a warehouse and ran to hide in a theater. Need I say anything more? I only have to mention the phrase, famous shipwrecks, and you will probably be thinking about the Titanic instantly. For those who don't know, the RMS Titanic was the largest ship known to mankind in its time. Due to its size, double-hull design, and sealable compartments, the Titanic was declared as unsinkable. And we all know it takes pride before a fall. On April 14th, 1912, 4 days into her maiden voyage, Titanic struck an iceberg at around 11:40 p.m., ripping open 6 of her compartments, and in around 200 minutes, Titanic took her final plunge into the Atlantic Ocean, taking over 1,500 of her 2,200 passengers and crew. A tragic loss and waste of human life, indeed. But what if I told you that Titanic's sinking was almost predicted 14 years earlier? In 1898, British author Morgan Robertson wrote a novel called Futility, or better known today as The Wreck of the Titan. A story outlining the sinking of the Titan, the largest passenger ship in the world, deemed unsinkable by its creators, resulting in the loss of the majority of its passengers and crew. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? There are enough differences to make sure it's not a blatant copy, but the facts that do line up are certainly terrifying. Both of them had similar designs with black and white painted hulls, 4 yellow funnels, and a triple golden screw propeller design. The ships themselves were both measured at over 800 feet in length and a weight of over 50,000 tons. Titan hit an iceberg 460 miles, or 760 kilometers, off the coast of Newfoundland on her starboard side at a speed exceeding over 20 knots, on her way to England from New York. Titanic too hit her iceberg on her starboard side at 460 miles off the coast of Newfoundland at a speed exceeding 20 knots on her way to New York from England. Both of their sinkings occurred late at night, and in the end, both vessels lost over half their passengers and crew. After the incident, Robertson was approached many times, being commended for his clairvoyance. However, he always denied any paranormal or spiritual intuition on the writing of the book, only sourcing his knowledge of the construction of ships and maritime trends. The Wreck of the Titan novel received a re-release in the end of 1912, almost as if Robertson could say nothing but, "I told you so." I want to thank you for getting this far. If you enjoyed the pilot episode of Realities of Horror, please leave a like and leave a comment suggesting a topic you would like covered. Who knows? Your idea may just be the next episode. All of my information can be found in the description, and I would be honored if you took a look at my channel and the rest of my links. I'm Dr. Moxmo, and I bid you farewell.